And now let us prepare our hearts and our minds for a time of meditation.
In the stillness of this moment, there is peace. There is peace. In the stillness of this moment, there is peace. There is peace. And I rest and trust and breathe and know that in the stillness of this moment there is peace. In the stillness of this moment, there is love. There is love. In the stillness of this moment, there is love. There is love. And I rest and trust and breathe and know that in the stillness of this moment there is love. There is peace.
In the stillness of this moment, there is peace. Breathing in and breathing out now, focusing on the breath, allowing yourself to settle into this time of renewal, this time of connection, this time of one heart, one love, one peace. For in the stillness of this moment, in the stillness of this moment, there is peace. Breathing in, breathing out, allowing the body to relax, dropping the shoulders and dropping the belly, and taking a nice deep breath and holding it for a moment, and then slowly, slowly exhaling and let the body settle in. Let go of any tension, any stress in the body, any place where there's a feeling of discomfort. Just breathe into it and send it on its way. Thank it and let it go and settle into this moment. For in the midst of this moment, there is love. There is peace. Breathing in and out now. The body settles down and the mind settles down. And in the midst of this moment, in the midst of the silence, in the midst of relaxation, in the midst of our humanity, is our spirituality, is our knowing that there is but one presence, one power in each of our lives. and in the universe, the presence and power of God, God the good, everywhere present. Settling into that knowing, settling into that faith, settling into the quiet space. For in the stillness of this moment, there is peace. In the stillness of this moment, there is love. In the stillness now, in the stillness. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out, and staying for a moment in the stillness of this moment. For in the stillness of this moment, there is peace. There is love. There is God. We give thanks for this opportunity to stop and pause and realize, to stop and pause and breathe, to stop and be in the stillness of the moment. Taking in a deep breath and holding it for a moment, and as we exhale, we slowly open our eyes and we say, thank you. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.
There's a new church on the horizon, made of light, not of stone, calling out to all creation, you are not alone. Lions and lambs, saints and sinners, best of friends, enemies, woman and man, losers and winners, they are all in you and me. We are dark. One dream we share together. We are all a part of one heart. Out in the cold, there are faces hidden by the wind and rain. Hold out your hand, someone will take it and lead you home again. We are one heart looking for answers, one soul finding our way through the dark. One dream we share together. We are all a part of one heart. Around the world tonight, oh, there's fires burning and tears are falling from the sky, and still the world keeps on turning. We are one heart, one soul, one dream we share together. We are all a part. Yes, we are one heart looking for answers, one soul finding our way through the dark. One dream we share together. We are all a part. Yes, we are all a part. Yes, we are all a part of one heart.
The music ministry of David Trolley. Thank you so much, David. Beautiful song, J.D. Martin and Shannon Garrett. We are one heart. We forget, don't we? It's easy to forget that we are one heart. It's easy, well, we don't really remember who we are. We get caught up in the human experience. And so for the next couple of weeks, Jen and I are going to talk about remembering who we really are, really stripping away all that false stuff and really looking at who we truly are, that we're one heart, one dream, one Christ, one body, one God, one presence, one power. What if authenticity is not something we achieve, but something we remember? What if it's something we remember? We spend so much of life trying to become successful enough, to become spiritual enough, to become accepted enough, to become healed enough. And along the way, many of us lose touch with the truth of who we already are. This Sunday, we begin a new 13-week series inspired by Emily Cady's classic unity text, Lessons in Truth. And together we're going to explore how authentic living, our theme for this year, living authentically, how authentic living is not about perfection or self-improvement. It is about awakening to the divine presence already within us. So I invite you to examine the roles, the expectations, the fears, and the stories that shape our identity, that shape your identity, and gently begin returning to the deeper truth beneath them all. So, who is this Emily Cady? I thought, well, it's our introduction. Let's stop and just find out a little bit about Emily Cady. She's every time I hear her name, being a Unity student for the last 30 some years, my heart just wakes up. Emily Cady, Lessons in Truth, written in the vernacular of the late 1800s. You have to settle into it and breathe when you read it, and then it begins to flow. But Emily Cady was born in 1948 and lived till 1941. And she was one of the pioneers of the Unity movement and the author of Lessons in Truth, one of the most beloved and influential books in Unity history. Before becoming a spiritual teacher, she was one of the first women physicians in America, bringing both a practical and a spiritual understanding of healing to her work. Sounds like she was a holistic doctor. Sounds like she was into integrative medicine, huh? She believed that true healing involved the whole person, mind, body, and spirit, and spent her life exploring the deeper truths of Christianity through a metaphysical lens. Charles and Myrtle Fillmore recognized, the co-founders of the Unity movement, recognized the power of her teachings and helped introduce them to the growing Unity movement. And more than 125 years later, Lessons in Truth remains a foundational Unity text read by millions of people around the world. And at the heart of Emily Cady's teaching is one simple but life-changing idea. God is not far away. The presence and power of God already lives within us. All we have to do is remember who we are. That's why her work fits so beautifully with our theme of living authentically. She reminds us that the spiritual journey isn't about becoming someone new. It's about awakening to who we already are. Most people are not struggling because they are broken. They are struggling because they have forgotten who they are. The spiritual journey is not becoming someone new. It is awakening to what has always been true. It's not about becoming something new. It's awakening to who we already are, what we already are, the beauty that we are, the powerfulness that we are, the love that we are. I think that many of us spend the first half of life trying to become who everyone else wants us to be, and then the second half trying to recover from it. By the time we reach adulthood, we've accumulated identities like refrigerator magnets. Parent, minister, Republican, Democrat, successful, failure, introvert, extrovert, wounded, healer. And after a while, we don't know if we're living authentically or just maintaining the costume collection. So, are we then in the midst of our human condition, in the midst of this human experience, are we performing instead of being? Think about that for a moment. Are you performing or are you being? And notice I said instead of being. How when we move through this human experience, we learn very early to adapt for acceptance. We want to be accepted, and we adapt. We do what it takes to be accepted. That might not be us at all, but we will adapt so that we can be accepted. We begin doing that early on in the human experience. Then you add family conditioning to that. You add religious conditioning to it, success conditioning. Oh, and today, social media, identity performance, and even spiritual performance, trying to look enlightened. How many of you try to look enlightened? I never want to look enlightened. I just, that's hard to claim that you're enlightened, but we strive for that. We do claim that. Sometimes we become so good at playing ourselves that we forget there's someone deeper underneath the role. So what's this radical unity teaching? What's this metaphysical teaching? What's Katie saying? That there is a divine presence within every person, and that we're not separated from God, and that spiritual life is awakening, not earning. And Emily Cady's teachings help strip away that false identity. Lessons in Truth, then, is not really a book about religion. It is a book about remembering. One of Emily Cady's most famous assertions is both simple and revolutionary. Cady says, God is not a distant being to be sought, but the indwelling life, intelligence, substance, and power of all. One power, one presence, omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient, that there's no spot where God is not. It's all God. There's a book by Walter something or other called just that. It's all God. It is all God. And for many of us, authenticity has come to mean self-expression. We hear phrases like, just be yourself, live your truth. While there is wisdom there, unity invites us to go even deeper. Cady invites us to go deeper. Authenticity is not simply expressing our personality or defending our preferences. It is aligning our daily lives with the divine presence that already dwells within us. The world's version of authenticity often asks, what do I want? And the spiritual path asks, who am I, God? Who am I? Emily Cady challenges us to see that our essential identity is not found in our history, it's not found in our successes, it's not found in our failures, or even it's not found in our roles. Beneath all of those temporary experiences is the life of spirit itself. So when we look at living authentically, it is not creating a better version of ourselves. It's allowing our deepest spiritual identity to become visible in everyday life. Perhaps authenticity is simply allowing the divine within us to have a greater voice than the fears and expectations around us. Living authentically then means letting our spiritual identity become our primary identity. One of the remarkable aspects of Lessons in Truth is that Emily Cady doesn't present spirituality as a process of accumulating more knowledge or becoming more worthy. Instead, she invites us to uncover what has already been true. She writes, there is nothing in all the universe for us to fear, for greater is he than it is within you, than he that is in the world. Let me read that one more time. slowly. There is nothing in all the universe for us to fear, for greater is he that is within you than he that is within the world. Greater is that God, that spiritual experience, that spiritual being that you are, than what's going on in this human experience. Notice that Katie doesn't say, we must become greater. She says the greatness is already within us. So the spiritual journey then is not primarily about addition, it is about subtraction. So important. It is not about addition, but it is about subtraction. It is about letting go of that false self and allowing who we really are, allowing ourselves to remember who we really are. And it's not easy. We forget, we get caught up in the human condition. We get caught up in everything that's going on around us. We get caught up in being stripped of religious freedom or the attempt to strip us of religious freedom and tell us what we need, what we should believe, and what we should have faith in. And we get caught up in that, and we should stop when we get caught up in it and breathe and remember who we are and keep our true identity. Know that we're strong, we have strength, we have understanding, we have wisdom, that we have all of that as we move through this human experience. So when we begin to move into authenticity, we gradually let go of our fears. We gradually let go of limiting beliefs and old wounds. Let me say that one again. We gradually let go of old wounds. So we tend to hold on to those, and we begin letting go of those inherited expectations and the stories we've told ourselves about who we are. Those stories that we tell ourselves, those stories. So in the coming months, as Jen and I move through Lessons in Truth with sprinkling a couple of guest speakers in between, some really good guest speakers, we're going to explore the power of thought. We'll explore releasing false beliefs. We'll explore speaking affirmations, developing faith, discovering the secret place within, expressing our spiritual gifts, and ultimately finding freedom. Each lesson asks us to remove a layer of false identity. Those of you that are taking Living Originally and those of you that have taken it, that's what we're going to be working on over the next 6 weeks, is removing the false layers of our identity, removing that false self. Brumett calls it the false self, and allowing ourselves to move into our original self, into our authentic self, into the spiritual being that we truly are. Katie writes in the opening of Lessons in Truth, all that God is, man is. That's a pretty bold statement. All that God is, man is. It doesn't suggest that we must strive to become divine. It suggests that our deepest work is to awaken to the divine life already expressing itself through us. Perhaps this entire series is an invitation to stop asking, how can I become a better person? And begin asking, what in me is already true? What in me is already whole? What in me is already God? Perhaps the spiritual journey is less about becoming and more about remembering. There was a visitor who once watched a sculptor creating a beautiful lion out of marble. The visitor stood there amazed and finally asked, how do you create something so lifelike from a solid block of stone? The sculptor smiled and said, I didn't create the lion. I simply removed everything that wasn't the lion. I think the spiritual journey works much the same way. God is not trying to create a new self within us. The divine is gently removing everything that is not truly us, removing the fear, the shame, the conditioning, the limitation, and the false identity until what has always been there can emerge. So take a breath and get ready for a journey with us over the next couple months and enjoy lessons in truth, enjoy letting go of that false self, enjoy remembering, remembering who you are. Have a great week. Thank you for being here today.